The Haunting Secrets of Whispering Hollow. The town appeared to be a quiet and peaceful place, however. This town harbored a dark secret. Every year, on the same day, strange events would unfold. People would disappear. Peculiar symbols would be found inside houses, and horrifying screams would pierce through the silence of the night. Emily, one of the town's youngsters, was determined to unravel this terrifying mystery. She and her friends began to make plans to shed light on this enigma through research. They uncovered the mysterious events that had occurred in the town's past. Years ago, a group of people in the town had fallen under the influence of a sinister cult. The cult had started sacrificing the town's residents to a dark entity. However, one day, the cult's leader, the cult master, defected from the cult and decided to protect the town. The cult master fought to defeat the dark powers of the cult, but in the aftermath of this battle, the cult's leader and other members killed him. Even after his death, the cult master's malevolent presence lingered in the town. Emily and her friends decided to do everything in their power to appease this malevolent presence and put an end to the town's horrific past. However, the dark entity pursued them relentlessly, taking refuge in the town's old church. Emily and her friends successfully managed to halt the entity's advance. As they entered the church, they found themselves face to face with the malevolent spirit. The spirit expressed remorse and a desire to no longer harm the townsfolk. Emily and her friends, forgiving the spirit, released it from its torment. No more strange events ever occurred in the town, and peace was restored. Emily and her friends had shed light on the town's dark past, creating an unforgettable tale of heroism. Yet, even today, some claim to have seen the apparitions of that malevolent entity, reminding everyone of the terrifying memories from the town's history. The Curse of Black Hollow. The town of Black Hollow seemed like the epicenter of darkness and curses. Every night, its residents were plagued by nightmares that kept them from sleep, and the eerie sounds that permeated the city had become unbearable. However, these nightmares were not the true problem of the town. In the town's history lay a tale rooted in the cursed Blackwood family. The Blackwood were known to perform a dark ritual that dated back to the town's origins. Once every century, this ritual would be reawakened, plunging the town into a week-long period of unspeakable darkness. One of the town's youth, Michael, made it his mission to end this curse. Together with his courageous friends, they delved into the town's cursed history. Their research led them to uncover the location of the hidden place where the ritual took place. After discovering the hidden location, the young group, with the help of the town's residents, began devising a plan to stop the ritual. However, as the day of the ritual neared, strange events escalated throughout the town. The eyes of the deceased glowed with an eerie red light, and ghosts roamed the town's streets. When the day of the ritual arrived, Michael and his friends journeyed to the hidden place and did everything in their power to disrupt the ritual. But as the ritual commenced, the forests surrounding the town came to life in a horrifying manner. Trees became animated, extending limb-like appendages to ensnare the townsfolk. Though Michael and his friends succeeded in disrupting the ritual, a dark entity emerged from the forest. In the process, the entity sought to kill the townsfolk, but Michael and his friends resisted with all their might. In the end, they managed to split the entity into pieces, but one fragment still roamed the forest, lost and menacing. The town was finally free from the curse, but the townspeople still heard terrifying screams emanating from the depths of the forest during their sleepless nights. In the shadow of dark silence, the town of Raven's End was a place shrouded in mysterious and eerie occurrences during the night. Strange and unsettling sounds echoed through the town's streets, depriving its residents of sleep. Although it appeared like an ordinary town, the people of Raven's End were oblivious to its dark reputation. In the town's history, there were traces of a time when it used to be a peaceful place. However, years ago, an old cemetery on the outskirts of town was disturbed, and from that point onward, the town became cursed. Forgotten spirits from the cemetery began to haunt the town's residents. People went missing, confronted with apparitions, and lost their minds to horrifying memories. The townsfolk were at a loss for what to do to escape these nightmares. One day, Sarah, one of the town's youth, resolved to unravel this dark mystery. She gathered her friends and embarked on an expedition deep into the heart of the cemetery. They researched the forgotten history of the graveyard and discovered how the curse had begun. The curse was tied to the story of one significant family in the town. This family served as the caretakers of the old cemetery. However, they disturbed something within the graveyard that cursed the town. Sarah and her friends engaged in a grueling battle to stop the curse and restore peace to the cemetery. To break the curse and bring the cemetery back to its former serenity, they needed to resurrect an ancient ritual. But as the ritual began, a horrifying entity rose from the depths of the cemetery. The entity bore a deep grudge against the townspeople and viciously attacked Sarah and her friends. In a final effort, Sarah and her friends completed the ritual and stopped the curse. The cemetery was once again a place of tranquility. However, the townspeople couldn't forget the horrifying memories they had experienced, and Raven's End remained marked by a dark shadow that would forever haunt its residents. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more.